Well, good morning, and welcome once again to our business community discussion that we've been doing here on the Main Street Fort Dodge Facebook page for, a number of weeks now. Your opportunity to join in on the discussion is right there in the comments. So if you have a question or something you'd like any of us to address, that would absolutely be the place to do that, and we'll try to answer your questions and comments as we go along. Of course, if you have something you'd like us to cover in next week's program, you can absolutely send us an email to info@mainstreetfd.org, and we'll be happy to get to that as well. Purpose of this is always to support our business community here in Fort Dodge, Webster County, and really all of Iowa. Anybody who wants to join in, we'd be glad to have that discussion, but to provide information regarding the latest with health and COVID and best business practices to make sure that we're all able to survive in the new business climate. So that's kind of the purpose of what we're doing here today. Our regular contributors and organizers of this joining us today, Cheryl O'Hearn with Spin Market Plus Digital, and also good morning, and also Chris Patrick with Main Street Fort Dodge as well. So good morning, Chris.
Good morning, both of you. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so it's been a couple weeks. I know I missed out last week. You guys persevered and went on without me, and I did end up watching the recorded version of the show, so things seem to go okay. Maybe just a couple digital hiccups, but I guess you know what, that just happens to all of us. So
hey, it was live. What do you do?
That's the live world we live in.
That's right.
So Cheryl, we've got some new data that's coming out regarding performance of retail and how things are going. Can you walk us through this graph and what we're seeing here?
Well, this was released last month, and of course, all the retail information is, a good 30 to 45 days past or in the past. But this brings up some very interesting data. It's showing where we were in 2019 and where we are in 2018 as far as businesses and COVID-19 and revenue that's generating. So it has some very interesting trends. The number one trend is the number one area that has seen the largest growth substantially is non-store retailers. And that means digital online businesses. You hear it from me all the time. Whether you are a strictly online business, or you are a brick and mortar business, or you're a nonprofit, or you're a government agency, whatever you need to be today, you have to be online and you have to look good. And this dramatically shows that is the number one area in it as far as May of 2020 in growth going forward. So it breaks it down and shows each area how they're doing and where they were. This is nationally, and it really paints a graphic picture, because that's exactly what it is, of what is working and what's not out there. So if you are a business, and we're in July, but really you're working on your fourth quarter in 2021, this is when you need to look at your online information and make sure everything's there, because it does not happen overnight. We've talked about that over and over again too. We need to look at your website, how it's performing, and any campaigns you're putting together. All of that stuff takes a little bit of time, and now's the time to work on that fourth quarter, which I'm sure Chris is going to talk about as well, is critical. And Jill coming on here in just a moment with the Growth Alliance, talking about how important that fourth quarter is for a large number of businesses, whether you're online, selling strictly online, or you have a brick and mortar location.
Yeah, I've talked with a number of businesses, and they're represented here. We've had a number of automotive businesses who've said, surprisingly, they've done surprisingly well. Mm-hmm. And part of that is the steps that our government has taken to put money into people's hands and stimulate the economy. And, part of it is just, life doesn't end. You still have breakdowns, and you still have needs for things. And I think once we got through the initial, panic almost of what's going to happen? Oh my gosh. Life has begun to calm down a little bit, and people have started to figure out how they're going to handle day-to-day life and day-to-day activities. And I think that's what we're seeing here with this graph is, from April to May, we've begun to see that moving upward in all sectors. And so I think you can point to this to say recovery is on the way, and we need to just keep pushing through, and we're going to get to the other side of this together. So since you mentioned Jill, let's bring Jill Nelson on from the Growth Alliance here in town. Jill, welcome to our community support discussion.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's always great to have you. It looks like you made it into the office.
I did. Yep. Yeah, we're kind of working from home some days, from here in the office some days. So we're just kind of back and forth. Yep.
Yeah, I know you guys have a program that you're sort of unveiling, but I'd also like to talk a minute about sort of the graph that we were just talking about with Cheryl, because you have so much business contact. We see on this graph that there is sort of an uptick in activity in retail. Is that what you're seeing from your perspective?
Yeah, I think we're kind of seeing everything across the board. We still have some businesses that are being very cautious, and for good reason. We have some businesses that are wide open, full speed ahead, and then we have some businesses, that are kind of taking it day by day. And we're seeing some that are kind of having to take a moment of pause for COVID-related reasons, and then reopening when they can. But I did find that to be a very interesting graphic, because for my current position, I work at the Growth Alliance, but in a previous life, I worked for Target Corporation. And so all things retail, are near and dear to me. And I think about, when we're going into our retailers right now, and we're seeing, new clothes that are getting ready for back to school shopping and school supplies. And I think that there's so much uncertainty. And I think about how critical, Cheryl, you mentioned fourth quarter, but even the end of the summer, as people transition into that fall time and going back to school, the business that is done in our retail stores as a result of that transition of time. And there's a lot of school supplies out there. There's a lot of kids' clothing out there, and we got to support those businesses, boy, because that could be a big loss for some of our businesses if things don't happen with school as they have in the past. So I just thought that was an interesting graph that you pulled up. Also seeing that clothing and accessories is already down. Not sure what that'll look like in the future too.
Yeah, it's definitely changing the way a lot of people are doing business, and what we're finding is that those businesses who are able to make the change to be a little bit smarter about what exactly they're doing, and maybe transition to online, or those who have transitioned to curbside pickup and those things, those businesses tend to be okay. Maybe not have the same numbers as they would have in pre-COVID, but at least are still able to make it through. And of course, there are just some businesses that, due to the nature of their business, they aren't able to do those things, and that certainly makes it hard. But the Growth Alliance, Jill, you guys are doing a lot to try to make sure that our local businesses are surviving and thriving in this. And you guys have a new program that you're kicking off.
Yes. So last week we did, it was a little bit of a quieter launch, we'll say, for a 4-week program that we're running. And it is all around loving your local community and supporting local. And we have launched a program that allows consumers to purchase gift cards to our local businesses that are Growth Alliance members at a discounted rate, thanks to some very generous sponsors that we have in the community. So before I get into the details, I wanted to make sure that I recognize Citizens Community Credit Union, Avila Bank, and then Green State Credit Union, because they are the ones that are sponsoring this program. But it allows individuals to purchase a $35 gift card to a business of their choice for only $25. So they're kind of getting a free $10 there to a business of their choice. And they just need to go onto the Growth Alliance's website. We have all the businesses that have chosen to participate in this are all listed, and you just pay online, and you will receive an email receipt from a Growth Alliance staff member that acts as your gift card, and then you show that email, whether it's digital or you print it out. You show that at your point of service when you are checking out inside a retail store or a restaurant. It's not just retailers; it's a variety of businesses, and that's your gift card. So we had a little bit of a softer launch last week, and it went really well. We sold out.
Wow, that's really neat. So when you say you sold out, does this mean that there's no more available to buy, or was this just a first round, or how does this work? Is that
great question? We are only doing 25 gift cards per week, so it's limited quantities, and it will go through the month of July. So for 4 weeks. Each week, we're allowing 25 consumers to go in and purchase these gift cards. So it's first come, first serve, but it is only one gift card per consumer.
Got it. And so if somebody has questions regarding like which businesses are participating, how would they find that out?
All that is just right on our website, like where you would go to purchase the gift cards. It's all listed there, and or of course they can call our office as well. But I also want to note that we did reach out to our member businesses, of course, to ask them if they wanted to participate. So they had to sign up for this. Really, we didn't want to just kind of spring it on them without them really knowing what was going on. So everybody that's listed has acknowledged they do want to participate in the program. But if there are others out there that want to participate in this, please let us know, because it's not too late. We can definitely get you added to the website to have individuals, to have your business added in so that people can purchase a gift card. And then I also wanted to say too that we are really encouraging consumers to maybe purchase a gift card to a place that you have never been, or maybe a restaurant that you've been wanting to try. You're getting a discounted rate. I mean, it's kind of like $10 free. And so try something new, or go to a retailer that you maybe otherwise wouldn't, and support those local businesses. And, by purchasing a gift card, that money is getting to them now and allowing you to go in when it's convenient for you to make that purchase.
I have to admit, when you started sort of teasing the program, Jill, I really thought it was going to be like, $35 certificate and you pay $33 or $32. $10 is significant. That's I mean, we're talking like a 28% free money. That's a really good deal. So I got to wonder, whose idea was this? Did this come from you guys? Did this come from your sponsors? It's just such a really great thing for both our consumers and our downtown businesses who are participating.
Yeah. So I will say that it was definitely not an idea that generated from our staff. There are many other communities throughout the state that are doing a very similar program. It's something that we looked at a little bit earlier on, and we at that time, the models that we were looking at wasn't something that our staff was necessarily able to handle, but we've really been able to streamline the process to make it super simple for the business owner, super simple for the consumer. And we feel like it's a win-win for everyone. But yeah, there are different communities throughout the state that are definitely running very similar programs. And I think like I said, it's just a win-win for everybody. And again, we have some very generous sponsors that are making this possible, and that's Avila Bank, Citizens Community Credit Union, and Green State Credit Union. But I will also say that if there are other businesses out there that do want to sponsor our staff, we would be open to running this even longer than just the 4 weeks, which we have set aside right now.
Excellent. Okay, Jill. Well, thanks so much for joining us from the Growth Alliance and updating us on the program that you guys have going on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a good morning, everyone.
Thanks, Jill. Bye-bye. Cool program that the Growth Alliance is putting together, and I love that it benefits local businesses and just really promotes that opportunity, because I know there's just a lot of individuals out there who want to support our local business. Nobody wants to see any of our local businesses not be able to make it through this, and this provides a great way to really be a win-win for everybody.
Exactly, and it's something that, like Jill said, can be carried on. It doesn't, initially they're going to be doing it through July, but if the response is there, if the support is there, it's a perfect thing to take them into the August when everybody's in the school shopping time, and as well, and again, taking them into the fourth quarter. So it could be something that is carried on, especially with the responses.
Yeah, what a great program just to have locally. So, kudos to all of the sponsors who are making that happen. I think that's just a great thing for our community. So I know that, Chris, you guys have had your poll that's been going on, and you guys have been looking for responses. How's the response going? Are you guys still looking for more responses on your poll, or has that wrapped up already?
No, we're actually taking our poll through July 14th. It closes, I believe, I don't know why it's closing at 9 in the morning, but it's closing at 9 in the morning. So we have just under a week to get, I would like to see another 200 or 300 responses. It's really good to get a good cross section of people that maybe don't normally shop in the downtown. We still want you to respond to this survey because it's more than just about downtown Fort Dodge. It's about the whole community, and making sure that all of the businesses in our area really know what the consumer is looking for as far as safety, as far as products, and looking into the future. This survey actually covers it all, and it is on our Facebook page. You can find that link. Since you're watching this on Facebook, it should be pretty easy to find, and also on our website. So please take that consumer poll. When you see it, it says 4 eyes, which might be a little confusing, but it shows a couple pairs of glasses because that's the platform that the IEDA and Downtown Partnership is using. And it really covers everything, like I said, from your concerns about shopping, how soon you're going to come back into the stores, and then also, like I said, what you want to see in the future. Are you interested in outdoor dining? We've got a few events that Main Street's going to be putting on, hopefully, the end of August, which will be our picnic in the park instead of lunch on the square. And then September 11th, we're holding a lunch on the square, and then hoping to do Farm to Fork in September. So we need the community's input to see if that's even something they want to see, if they're going to come out to those kinds of events, or if they're still really waiting to come back into groups. And again, we're going to do what's best for the safety of our staff, our volunteers, and the community. So we'll plan for these events, but having that input's really going to help us decide our direction.
And that's really what's so important. We need to have everybody go in and provide that information, because that's what helps you decide what to do and what not to do. We want to do these events, but if everybody's still feeling uncomfortable, we need to know that, and what's the perception of what's going on and what's the reality. And this is putting the reality out there, getting people to provide that data and information for you so that you can make those strategic plans and implement those events in the community.
Well, and this information is not going to be held in secret here at Main Street Fort Dodge either. Right? Not doing that. We're actually going to share this information with the businesses in the community so everybody has a better understanding of where we really are at. I think it's all about hard data, and like we've said so many times, making sure that we have solid, information that's not, something we've just read on a weird site on the internet. This is real data from our community, and our businesses need that too. Several of them are still at 50% profit, so they're getting back there, and they're really optimistic. But we need to be using those platforms like Jill and the Growth Alliance are doing, and so many other things to support our businesses. And we have been seeing a few businesses that they don't have COVID in their store, but maybe their employee saw a family member that later on was tested positive. So even though everybody doesn't have COVID, they've decided to close temporarily just to make sure that their store is clean and their customers are safe. So please use Shop Local, Shop Central to find those status reports on some of that, and then use your online shopping skills, right, to support those groups.
Well, and I think the other comment, when you're talking about the IDA and Main Street, Iowa, and those are looking at this data as well, that goes back to any additional support, whether it's financial or whatever it may be, can come off of some of this information that they're collecting as well. So it's a very broad-based study, and it has a big impact, not only locally, but statewide.
Yeah, so I want to expand on that a little bit. So all of the Main Street communities across the state, there are 55 of us, are doing this consumer confidence survey. And this information is going to go back to Debbie Durham and the governor to really look at legislation that's coming up, not just for the fourth quarter, but into 2021. So definitely, Cheryl, this is not just for local use. This is going to be used statewide.
It just shows how important it is, and we really need to get everybody on the bandwagon. I know you sent me over the URL link, and I'll be linking it on a variety of other platforms today to encourage everybody to jump on.
Yeah, a lot of great information. We need to make sure that we're all participating in those things, because running a business is tough enough. It's great to have information that you know you can trust to help you make those difficult decisions. We keep going back to, and I had the slide up a moment ago. I'll bring that back up for us. But the slide talking about basically online marketplaces, right? And making sure that you do have a place to do business online if that's something that that is available to you. And you know, this is something that is becoming available. The Shop Iowa Retail Marketplace, brought to you in partnership with the Iowa Economic Development Authority, run by a local Iowa company, a member marketplace, giving an opportunity to you know, do some online business if it's not something that you've done previously. First year free, then stores would pay a fee to continue. Just something that is, you know, out there to help local businesses who maybe are getting their feet wet and doing a little bit of this, you know, doing a little bit of this online thing if you've never done it in the past. But you know, I know, Cheryl, you and I talk about this so frequently, and I know, Chris, it's something that you bring up as well. If COVID-19 hasn't spurred you to get your online act together, I don't know what possibly could. But now is certainly the time to get moving with whatever your digital presence needs to be. And one of the things that we always talk about is, yes, there are the paid services that we both believe you should be a part of, you know, and that may be getting your website together and things like that. But there's a lot of things that are no cost that you really need to make sure that you're taking part in, at least to get started, so that people can find you easily and take advantage of your products. Because, you know, if you can't be found in the online world, it's really tough for people to do business with you.
Well, it really is. And that Shop Iowa online service, the marketplace that you just talked about, is really for those businesses that have a product. But they also, IEDA is going to be rolling out a service for, or an online platform for service businesses too. So nobody's been forgotten by the state. That's not quite ready to jump on and start listing your products yet. I just was on a webinar about that the other day. So Main Street Fort Dodge will be helping our local businesses jump onto that platform if they want to. And then there's also the Travel Iowa platform that's free this year for those businesses too. So there are lots of opportunities, along with our interactive business map here locally, where there's those options to really link onto that with the Help Us Spend market. So many free services. I think businesses just have to know that they're out there. We're trying to do our best to help them realize that. And there are a lot of people willing to help them for free.
Right. And that's very important, because what I find with a lot of the businesses is they think it's a daunting task. And therefore, instead of asking and getting some resources on it, they look at the whole, you know, everybody will call me, well, I hear geofencing and I hear retargeting and I hear all these different conversions and drip emails and on and on and on. And it gets overwhelming. And that's where we sit and talk to the clients and say, you know, it's not necessarily that you have to do everything. It's let's do something right. And Jed, you really hit it. They need to have their Google business page correct and that information on there right. And then the next step is the 300 plus directories that they need to be right on as well. And there are ways to do it. There's, we provide some free services as well. And I know Chris talked about the interactive map for locally. Again, that's free to make sure that their information's on there. And then there's some other additional fringe benefits that Chris can provide them. But it's don't be afraid of it. Ask the questions. Talk to Jed, talk to Chris, talk to me, talk to just about anybody in the community, and we can get you the resources that you need and the help you need. But you have to take that step. You've got to move forward with it, and sometimes baby steps are the best.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sometimes it's just about making that first step, and that's going to be really helpful just to get your foot wet in the thing, and then you realize that maybe it's not quite as scary as you once thought. But get that Google business claimed and start responding to those comments. When you're lucky enough to have somebody review your business, make sure you respond to it. Again, these are all free things that you can do that really make a difference in people finding your business and doing business with you in the future. But respond to those, good and bad. You want to make sure that you respond to all of those reviews of your business. It really will help you as you move forward in the digital game. So Kimberly Tiefenthaler normally comes on and shares some information with us regarding the latest updates of the PPP and idle programs and things like that. And I don't know that she's been able to make it this morning since she has some other prior commitments, but we do want to go through just some of the things that she shared with us that was kind of a really important update. And so I want to bring that up on the screen. And this is what she shared with us. She said, a borrower cannot use idle funds to pay off debt that was in place prior to the disaster. Gosh, this is really important because you want to make sure that when you get those funds, if you're hoping for any of that to be forgivable, or you're hoping for any of it to be, to make sure that you get the interest rate that you were promised, you need to make sure that you follow those rules. And this seems to be a really important one. Don't pay off debt that was in place prior to the disaster. This is for, for very specific purposes. So why do you need idle? For reduced working capital, for increased expenses, cash shortages due to frozen inventory. And gosh, that has been a problem lately for a number of clients that I work with. Cash shortages due to accounts receivables. I know a number of businesses that I've talked to have seen that as well, where the accounts receivable has gone up significantly, in some cases doubled and tripled what it might normally be, just because other businesses, especially B2Bs, having difficulty with their own cash flows. So gosh, just make sure that you're using these as they're intended to be used, because we want to make sure that the forgivable portions do end up being forgivable, and we want to make sure that you follow all the rules so that you're not hit with higher interest rates or anything else that might go along with not following the rules when it comes to these things. So
your comment about following the rules, Jed, I think is really important, because if we're going to go back and ask for additional support and funding in the future, we've got to make sure that you're following the rules, because if we're not, they're going to be, the legislature, whether statewide or national, is not going to be as willing to provide that support if they feel that it was not used appropriately. So that's a very important message that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think I think that's going to go from the idle all the way to the PPP. Is just make sure that you're using the things as intended. And I would also trickle this down all the way down to unemployment. We want to make sure that those who have taken the unemployment from the federal unemployment, we need to make sure that it's used properly and as intended, because we want to make sure that should this ever be needed again, that it's felt that it was used properly. So just good points to make sure that we do follow the rules as we go through these things. And I know that she's shown this slide before, but I think it bears repeating some of the changes that are coming through to the PPP law, lengthening the loan forgiveness from 8 to 24 weeks, and then lowering the amount of PPP funds that must be spent on payroll from 75 to 60. allowing 40% for other qualifying expenses. And I think that really does take the pressure off, especially when a number of businesses simply don't have the need to bring back maybe their full employment staff just yet, but still have many of those expenses that might come along with keeping their business open. So just some of these new extensions and changes to the PPP that are going to be affecting businesses who have taken advantage of that program. So, of course, the other thing that's mentioned here is the Easy Pay form for some individuals to take advantage of as well. If you're self-employed and have no employees, you can do this. Also, if you did not reduce the salaries of wages of your employees by more than 25% and did not reduce the number of hours of your employees, also you must have experienced reductions in business activity as a result of health directives related to COVID-19 and did not reduce the salaries or wages of your employees by more than 25%. You'll be able to do this new easy forgiveness application, which will make things just a little bit easier for you. But if you were required to reduce the wages or perhaps lay off a significant portion of your workforce, that may not apply to you, but it is available for a portion of the folks who have taken that out on the forgiveness application. So just another thing that is available.
To add to that too, Jed, they don't have to be in a hurry to fill that out either. So be patient. Your lender, chances are, is not asking for that information now. And since you do have additional weeks to make this work, even if you had a reduction in staff, employees, or wages or whatever, that may come up and increase over that time and put you back into where you could use this form.
Yeah, and I think what we always say on this is just keep good documentation and make sure that you have your information and use this time now, if you can, to gather any information that you might need for that application. My suggestion would be to download the application that you think you might need and begin gathering that material so that when the time comes, you do have it readily available and you're not scrambling to get that. So that brings us to the end of the slideshow. Is there any other information that we probably ought to be talking about as we wrap up this week?
Well, I know we had several additional speakers that wanted to talk today, but a couple of them ended up with some things going on that they weren't able to be free at 9 o'clock. So hopefully they're planning on being on next week. But we do want to let everybody know, if you are a business in the community that has some information to provide out there, has any ideas, suggestions, anybody at all that is in here, if you're talking to Jed or any of his staff at Alpha Media, or want to email or call either Chris or I, as well as Kimberly, we want to welcome that information. Send it to us. We try to be very creative with contacting the people that we have out there and that we know, but we're always open for suggestions and ideas on this. And we are seeing an increase in people paying attention to this and watching it, since it's available online even after our 9 o'clock show. So I think this is a great program for our community, and it's a great way to get some information out that might not have been available to them in a very digital format.
And informal, right?
Very casual, very informal, and we love the comments. And I always love Nikki coming on and being so supportive. She always has a great shout out for us every time.
Yeah, that's great. So if you do want to get a hold of any of us, we're happy to answer your questions, point you in the right direction, or maybe even bring you on the show if you've got some information that we need to get out to the general public. Of course, we have with us today Cheryl O'Hearn with Spin Market Plus Digital, also Chris Patrick with Main Street Ford Dodge, usually joining us, but I'm unable to make it today, Kimberly Tiefenthaler, the Regional Director of North Central Iowa's SBDC, and of course, I'm Jed Burns, General Manager for Alpha Media. So that's going to wrap it up for this week, but we'll see you again next week, 9 a.m. Thursday, right here on the Facebook page of Main Street Ford Dodge. And if you have any questions, feel free to make your comment or email us at info@mainstreetfd.org. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.